Good morning to all my students. Hope you are all doing well. Today I am going to discuss my lecture on a very important topic that is drug addiction a societal and global menace, and how do we deal with this major crisis? Since we all know that how much drug addiction is a common problem. It is prevalent not only in one society but in many society around the globe, and therefore we can say that it has become nowadays a global problem, a global menace. And how do we minimize and mitigate this crisis, and to mitigate this crisis situation? We are going to look into this lecture in a very holistic manner. First, as you all know that we every year celebrate drug. We are actually not celebrating. Actually, we are actually taking a very lot of canvassing and campaign against the drug addiction. That this is a problem which the humanity across the globe is actually confronted with, and they are facing it, and it is having a very adversary effect on our youth, who is the backbone of our society, who is the backbone of our nation. And therefore what we can say, 26th January June, International Day, is actually we actually use this day, we actually celebrate this day against the drug abuse and illicit trafficking. Okay, so drug addiction is a neuropsychological disorder characterized by persistent and intense use to engage in certain behaviors. Drug use often alters brain functions in ways that perpetuate craving and weakens self-control. So here we can say it is very clear that how drug addiction is making a change in the human brain, and how much it is harmful when it comes to the functioning of the human brain, because it have a lot of adversary effect on the human brain. And therefore and it also it also weakens, once somebody, and it also kills. That's why, because at long run it is going to kill. And therefore we have this type of slogans: the more you use, the less you live. And this is the slogan which almost we always use whenever we are celebrate having this organizing the day, having number of campaigns. That is on 26th June, which is International Day against drug abuse and illicit trafficking. So when we are talking about the drug addiction, so we believe that it is a neuropsychological disorder and characterized by persistent and intense use to engage in certain behaviors. Drugs or use often alters brain. So this is how is actually the the wrong effect, or it is the adversary effect on the human brain. That means it alters the brain and ways that perpetuate craving. So that means once you will be habitual of taking the drugs, so then you cannot stop it, because you need it. You will say, your mind will say that you need it. It will motivate you that you need it again and again. So that is somehow a very much difficult situation which our different societies are passing through. Okay, and then in other words we can say, it can be said that drug addiction is also called a substance use disorder. It is a disease that harms affects a person's brain. So why it is a disease? Because it is directly affecting one's brain, who is a person who is addicted, and it is having an adversary effect on those people's brains who are actually taking or consuming these drugs. What are now we are interested to debate what are the which drugs we are talking about. What are the drugs which are dangerous, which are harmful, and which are that we cannot use them. They are illicit, so they are by if we are taking from the legal point of view, they are banned, you cannot use them, and they are illegal. And one is, for example, marijuana, nicotine, opium, morphine, heroin, cocaine, ganja, and and many other drugs which we have, which are which are this type of drugs which actually affects the human brain, which affects the human body actually. So therefore, for example, you have the drugs like marijuana, nicotine, opium, morphine, heroin, so cocaine, so ganja. So these type of drugs can be, and theban. So these type of drugs are actually harmful, and they are banned. You cannot use them. Illegal. They are illegal. They are considered as illegal drugs. But when you see in the present scenario, or in at global level, that our youth, who is our asset, who is our backbone of the global society, of our societies, of our nations, so they are actually engaged, some of them are engaged in this drug addiction problem, and that is really affecting not only them, but it is affecting the society as a whole. It is affecting families, it is affecting our community. That's why once we are saying the effect of the drugs, that is it has a domino effect. It is a domino effect, because it is not affecting one person. It has a cumulative effect. It is affecting our families, it is affecting our communities, it is affecting at large to large extent our societies, and as well as it has now it spreads like a fire, because it is very much problematic, and therefore it has a domino effect. It is not one individual problem. A person, suppose I can give you the example. If there is a drug addict person in a one family, that is going to affect the entire family, because they are going to be in a worrisome situation. They are going to be in a different situation, in a very difficult situation, that how their son or daughter maybe how she or he can prevent himself or herself from taking these harmful drugs. And therefore we can say it is having a domino effect. uh, what are the symptoms and behaviors? Now we are going to discuss what are actually the symptoms of this drug addiction, and what are the problems, what sort of behavior we see as a kind of effect on a person who is actually taking this who is a drug addict person. For example, feeling that you have used it. There are multiple points which I am going to make it here. For example, feeling that you have used drug regularly, because a person who is addicted, he will be taking drugs on daily basis, because he will make it a daily routine. The second, intense urge. He will have this intense urge, so he will be searching out, he will be striving for where I can get these drugs. He will go there and he will purchase them. And so intense urge will be there. So then money problems, or he cannot afford to purchase drugs. Sometimes a person who is drug addicted, he is having the money issues. He doesn't have that much of economic capacity to purchase them, and some of them are having, but it is not applicable to all, but some of them are having. So not fulfilling or meeting his obligations and responsibilities. What we will see as a reaction of a addict person, that he will not be fulfilling his issues or daily. He will not be meeting with his responsibilities, and he will not be taking his duties properly. And therefore it is a kind of reaction of, because he is taking drugs and engaging himself in a risky activities. For example, he may be once he's consuming these drugs, and maybe he is that time driving, and it could be very much hazardous. It could be very much devastating in a situation. Maybe he could face accident, and so on and so forth. And therefore not able to stop drugs, and he's not able to stop drugs, prevent drugs, and health issues, problems. For example, he can have problems at school level, he can have problems at family level, he can have problems at workplace. And that means if he is working in any company, he can also face number of problems if he is a drug addict person in any company, or at any school or college or university. So therefore we can say drugs actually they affect not only one person, not only one individual who is actually consuming these drugs, who is taking these drugs, but it is having, as I said, as I mentioned, that it is having a domino effect, that it is also having a cumulative effect. It is affecting our families, our society, our so therefore we can say it is very tough to stop them. But I am going to discuss what are the therapies, what are the the counseling methods which I am going to discuss, and what are the there are also some of the drugs which are available in the markets, by which you, even in hospitals, which you can use and you can somehow stop, but there is no final drug to cure a person who is a drug addicted. uh, yes, then also neglected appearance, change in behavior. If there is a person who is taking drug, you will see his mood will be always changing. You will see also some changes in his behavior. He will be talking differently. Maybe sometimes he will get angry on different issues. And so blatant use of drugs can damage the essential decision making center at the front of brain. So what happens, this is the research done by the National Institute of Health, that how it is actually affecting, it is affecting the human brain, that then you would not, a person who is a drug addict cannot take decisions properly, cannot differentiate what is good and what is bad. So because it is affecting the decision making, decision making quality of a person. So he is not, then he is unable to take the proper decisions. The essential decision making center would be definitely affected by, once a person is taking blatantly these drugs, and then he is all not, he is affecting his actually brain, and and that is very much problematic. And drugs can hijack your brain, and that is something we all need to accept it, that once a person is taking drugs, or the groups of people are taking drugs, or a few people are taking drugs, what is going to happen as a result of those drugs, that drugs can hijack your brain. And definitely that is the study of National Institute of Health, that once you will be taking the drugs, you are consuming them, it is going to hijack your brain. Okay. um, and let me just tell you that almost 11 million deaths every year, annually, we see that happening throughout the globe, because of the because of use of these drug addiction problem, because of drugs. The people died, millions of people, that is 11 million people annually die because of the drug problem. Causes of drug addiction is another topic, another issue, that is what are the issues actually, what are the causes that by which we can say this it actually gives birth to this drug addiction problem. The first is, for example, to my understanding, due to family background. Sometimes there can be number of issues at family level, and a person is going through trauma, and he is having that kind of history, and he faces a lot of problems at family level, and maybe discrimination, some sort of discrimination, and therefore that can create a problem for a person. But it does not mean, if a person is uh, getting a problem at home, or at family, or anywhere in at society or community level, or at a global level, he should not it is not the smartness of a person to engage himself in a drugs. But some people, they do this because once they have a problem. So due to family background, then peer groups is another thing, that if you keep the company of bad people, then definitely if they are consuming these drugs, taking these drugs, then definitely they are going to also affect you, because it is having a domino effect, by one way or other. If you are or in the company of the bad groups, then definitely it is going to affect you also, and you will definitely become the addicted to drug addicted person. And therefore there is a very smart saying of uh, Sheikh Sadi Rahmatullah alayh, Sohbate Saleh Tura Saleh Kunan, Sohbate Taleh Tura Taleh Kunan. What does it mean? It is a good message for our youth, that if you keep the company of good ones, you will become good. If you keep the company of bad ones, you will become the bad. So what is important, that we always have to choose the good people, to live with them, and so that to get a good experiences, and and to shape our behavior because of the good experience of those people. And that is very important, especially for the when it comes to the students, when it comes about the youth. So poverty and financial issues can be other genuine issues which could lead towards the drug addiction. Maybe a person is going through financial crisis or poverty problems or economic disparities, and therefore he is having this type of trauma in his mind. Why is it so that I'm living my life, in a very pathetic conditions, or in a, my economic conditions is not so sound, and so therefore he may this could be one of the cause that he is actually going towards this drug addiction problem. And then post history, then failure. Sometimes many people, they fail in their lives. They have not good experiences, they fail, and these failure stories become not good examples for them, and they keep thinking about them, and that actually adversely affects them, and they say, okay, let's take something which will give us some satisfaction, and they start taking these drugs. They become drug addicted. And then also experimentation and psychological. Sometimes it is the psychology of a person. Maybe sometimes he thinks that, let me just see how these drugs are, and once he take it, and then then he becomes habitual. And family and community and social problems also leads to actually to the drug addiction issues, because in society you have multiple problems, in community you have multiple problems, at family level you have multiple problems, and maybe the person is affected both by those problems and by those issues. And then ultimately what happens, he says that he becomes the drug addicted person. And then what are the, now the question can be raised, what are the preventive measures? Because preventive measures are very important. As I said earlier, there are no there is no drug available in the market which can finally cure a person who is addicted person. But even though some of the medicines are available to have a positive effect or a person on over a person who is actually consuming these drugs, but there is no final drug which can actually cure this drug addiction problem. Even though some of the drugs are available even in United States of America, even in many other countries. So what are the preventive measures and what are the remedial measures, that how could we cannot totally stop them, how we could make a bigger change in our society when it comes to the drug addiction issue or drug addiction problem, because it kills our youth, it kills humanity across the globe. Because that's why we see the 11 million deaths every annually occurring or happening at global level. So therefore we can say there are different preventive measures. For example, physical activity. A person who engaged in any drugs, he has to take a physical activity. He can be engaged in a physical activity, and then it will actually prevent him thinking about any other activity, about drugs. Science and art projects, for example, you can engage them in science and art projects. You can also engage these people in social networks and social platforms. And then further, you have potential vaccines, and there are also some potential vaccines available against nicotine and cocaine, but not against all drugs. Then also some of the medications are available in order to which can be used by these people who are drug addicted. And they cannot cure them all, but to have some positive effect. uh, then also motivational, what is another, cognitive behavioral therapy. There are some therapies which are very important. Cognitive behavioral therapies is there. Then you have motivational enhancement therapies. Then marital and family counseling. So these are very important therapies which actually can be used as a methods, as an instruments, as a skills, that you can motivate these people, that not to take drugs, because drugs, they kill. It has an adversary effect on the human body, on human mind, and therefore don't take it. So proper counseling, proper campaigning, and proper awareness and proper dissemination of knowledge through cognitive means, through motivational enhancement therapies, and through the marital family counseling also. and we can make a change so far as this drug addiction problem is concerned in our society. And then also you have empathy, and motivational support. That means you have to show a friendly behavior with a person who is actually, you have to treat them that you can change. You have to motivate him, okay, that you can leave this drug problem, because it is not something that you cannot do. If you are courageous, if you are capable, if you have the will, if you have the power, if you have the strength, and if you have the capability to stop it, you can do it. And all humans can do everything possible. So therefore we can say the drugs can be also stopped if there is human will, if there is courage, if properly those people who are engaged in this who are drug addicted people, if there will be proper counseling for them, proper classes for them, cognitive, there will be some counseling for the purpose to create a cognitive behavioral therapies, use these type of behavioral cognitive behavioral therapies, motivational enhancement therapies, then also marital and family counseling. So all these or methods are very important, so that we can make a good change, in our society. And there are always good slogans, and we all have to participate against these illicit drugs, which are banned actually. And we have to show active participation. And so therefore we are always using these slogans, and they are true. And for example, the more you use, the less you live. Drugs or death traps. Say yes to life and no to drugs. Say yes to life and no to drugs. So this is a very, because the drugs are very much alarming. It affects, it kills, human beings. It kills our youth, who can play a very important role in the nation building process, in our society. They are our backbone, they are our asset. And if they are engaged in this drug addiction problem, so then we cannot expect a positive role from their side. And therefore we have to create a reformation, we have to create a dissemination, we have to create awareness, we have to create campus, we have to, at school level, at family level, at community level, at global level. And so that we could stop this menace in our society, and at global level, so that we could protect the humanity at global level. And we could protect also the coming generations, that they cannot take this drug problem, they cannot engage themselves in drug addiction issues, because it is very much problematic phenomena. Then quit drugs and choose life. Once we say this slogan, quit drugs and choose life, because drugs are killing. They are having adversary effect on our brain, on our body. And therefore we have to stop them. Therefore we have also this that once we are able to stop them, quit them, then we can have a very healthy and healthy life, and sound mind. A good, a sound mind always lives in a healthy body. And therefore we have to, this is my last message to all my students, to stop taking, engaging themselves in such activities, especially if anybody is engaged at our society level, anywhere. So they have to stop them. And our students can play a very important role in creating awareness. Our scholars can play a very important role. Our global civil society could play a very important role. Professors could play a very important role, and people in general could play a very important role to create awareness against drugs and drug abuse and drugs, illicit drugs. And we have to stop them, because they are hazardous, they are devastating, and they are destructive. And thank you so much for hearing my lecture. See you next time. Take care of yourself.